When I was learning this concept, my teacher explained to us, you take an ovat or yevat ending, add it to a foreign word or a Russian root word to make a verb. And we all joked and we said, oh, okay, great. So I can take park and I can add ovat to it and make parkavat. And we all laughed. And my teacher looked at us and said, yes, that's how you say park in Russian. We were blown away. We thought, whoa, have we found the answer here? Have we mastered Russian? Well, obviously you can't do this to every word, but you do it to a fair number of them. Conjugating them is slightly different than first regular conjugation. So today in this video, I'm going to teach you how to conjugate the verb, how to handle shifting stresses, and then how to put them into the past tense. The concept may sound a little hard and overwhelming, but I promise you it's easy. By the end of this video, you will have mastered all three of those concepts. Давайте начнем. Всем привет, меня зовут Jared, я делаю русский язык легким. Hey everybody, my name's Jared and I make the Russian language easy. Before we get into conjugating verbs, I just want to give you a high-level overview here as to what are ovat and yevat verbs. The yevat verbs are the exact same as ovat. They just have the yes, so I generally refer to them as ovat, but know that they're the same thing in this video. Anyway, how it was explained to me is technically right. Quite often you'll see they take Russian root words or foreign words borrowed from other languages, slap on the ovat to make it a verb, much like we would do to Google, right? It's technically a noun, but now we say, hey, go Google this and find the answer. They do that using the ovat endings. Now, you can't just do that to any word. It doesn't make sense, but there's a fair number of them here. Okay, let's learn how to conjugate these. Pretty easy, but slightly different than first conjugation verbs. Let's take the verb parkavat. We see that it is first conjugation because it ends in the a te miyaki znak, and normally we would just drop the te miyaki znak and add on the correct ending. With ovat and yevat verbs, you need to drop the entire ending, the whole ovat or yevat ending. So that's the first step. Drop the ovat ending. The second step is you add the Russian letter u. And then the third step is you add the appropriate first conjugation ending. If you were saying ya, let's say I am parking the car, so it's ya parkuju. Okay, those are three pretty easy steps. We drop the ovat ending, we add the u, and then we add the correct first conjugation ending. Here's another word. The word for risk in Russian is risk, and the verb to risk is riskavat. So walk through these steps here. The first step in riskavat would be to do what? It's correct. We drop the ovat ending. Then we add what? We add the Russian letter u. And then what do we want to do? Let's say we're risking. We would add the correct first conjugation ending. In this case, it would be the yem. So we say мы рискуем. Okay, I'm going to give you one more. I want you to do it all on your own. And then I'm going to teach you how to handle shifting stresses. You probably know the Russian word privyet, the informal hi. How's it going? Hey. Well, they actually have a verb, privyetstvovat, and that means to say hi. You'll hear this a lot of times at meetings or gatherings where the person conducting the meeting wants to say, I almost said it in Russian, gave away the answer, but I welcome you or I say hi to all of you. You hear that quite a bit there. So if we wanted to say, I privyetstvovat you, how would we conjugate that in Russian? I'll give you 5 seconds to figure that out. And if you don't have the first conjugation endings memorized, here they are on the side. So we want to say, I privyetstvovat. How would we say that in Russian? Okay, first step is we drop the ovat, we add the u, and because we're saying I, we then add the u. Я приветствую вас. That would be I say hi to you or I welcome you. Okay, let's do that one more time, but instead of saying I, let's conjugate it with the вы form. You are welcoming or you are saying hi to everyone. How would we say вы приветствовать? How would we say that correctly in Russian? That's right. We drop the ovat ending, we add the u, and then we add the correct first conjugation ending, the yetye. Вы приветствуете. Hey, you guys, real quick, if you're learning something, smash that like button. I'd appreciate it. Spasiba. 2 things to remember before we get onto shifting stresses. 1, not all ovat verbs have English cognates as their root words. Take, for example, sledovat. That's a Russian word, pure Russian word, and it means to follow or to adhere to certain guidelines. The word tancevat is to dance. Obviously, no English cognate there. And you can see here how it ends in the yevat ending. It's the exact same thing. You drop the yevat, you add the u, and then you would add the correct ending. So if you wanted to say, I'm dancing, ja tancuju. If you wanted to say, he's dancing, on tancujет. All right, now let's get on to shifting stresses. And by that, let's look at the word голосовать. If you look at the root word here, it's голос, which means voice. If we put this into a verb, to voice, what that means is to vote. Like, I'm going to the polls and I'm going to vote for our president. So to voice in a verb means to vote. Kind of cool, huh? I always thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, you can see that our stress on this word comes at the end on the a, голосовать. So if we're conjugating it and we drop the овать, then where does our stress go? What do? It's very easy. The stress goes from the a to the u that we add. And then we add the appropriate ending. So if you wanted to say he's voting for, on голосует за whomever he's voting for there. If the stress falls on the first half of the verb, then it doesn't shift. It just stays where it is. Okay, you've learned how to conjugate the verbs. You've learned how to handle shifting stresses. Now we just need to learn how to put these into past tense. And you know what? It's no difference. It's just like first conjugation. You just drop the temyaki znak and you add the appropriate ending. So let's go back to голосовать. And if you wanted to say, I voted for, me being a male, I would say, я голосовал за. And if I was a female, or if, I wanted to say she voted for, we would say, она голосовала за whomever. Okay? Exact same thing. If I want to say, I parked my car over there. Я парковал свою машину там, or whatever we wanted to say. Okay? You see how that works? No changes. Very easy. Now that you know how to conjugate the verbs, now that you know how to handle shifting stresses, and now that you know how to put them in the past tense, you should have овать, евать verbs mastered. If you haven't yet memorized all the first conjugation endings, you need to do that. I've got a video, which I'll link at the end of this video, which explains how to conjugate first conjugation verbs and how to memorize those endings pretty easily. Спасибо, и увидимся.